Hello YouTube, it's your girl QuanI's, and welcome to my channel QuanI Covers, where QuanI cover various aspects of entertainment. Welcome to another commentary. Yes, I'm doing another one of those, and as the title suggests, we're gonna be talking about K-pop idols and how they are not your doll. And that is actually why I am all dolled up, pun intended. So what do I mean by K-pop idols are not your doll? People having unrealistic standards for people that are in the position of fame, especially for idols. Now, with all my experience in K-pop, take that with a grain of salt, I've noticed the culture in Korea is perfection, meaning they strive to reach a standard that is God tier. And let me explain this. When it comes to them selecting their idols, a lot of things are taken into consideration. Firstly, the physical. The idol has to be of a certain weight, and while in training, they occasionally have them stand on these scales to make sure they stay within that weight. They put them on diets. They restrict what they can and cannot eat. So body image is very, very important. They tend to go for idols that are tall or have long legs or specific features that fits the social standards in the country, such as a small face, the small straight nose, the small cute pouty lips, and at the same time you need to have a little bit of a soft feminine feature about you, and if you have an S-line, that's chef's kiss. It is instilled from a very tender age to these young Koreans that this is what you need to look like to become famous or acknowledged or appreciated in the world. So I can see where it really started from, the root of it. I can see why as viewers it's really hard to not gravitate and be pulled into exactly what they're promoting, which is perfection. And some people get this perfection by plastic surgery if possible. Something as simple as giving yourself a double eyelid to have bigger looking eyes is a thing in Korea. Now, I'm not here to say that all idols have done plastic surgery, but you guys know that plastic surgery is a pretty common thing in Korea. I actually had the thought that if I ever got to the point where I needed to do anything, I'm probably gonna go to Korea. They seem to be really good at doing surgeries that go unnoticed. The idols do grow up in a culture where perfection is pursued. So before even their talents, their physical attributes weigh in a lot on who gets selected to debut into a group. Now, once past the physical, they have to be really good at dancing, they have to have really good stage presence, they really have to be good at singing, or at least pass the bar to fit in a group where they aren't jarring and they're pleasant enough to be heard by the listeners. Actually, even if you are pretty enough, you don't even have to be able to be an absolutely great singer or even have the talent for singing. If you are pretty and handsome enough, they can mask that flaw by being in a group. I say all of this to say is that the culture itself instills a pursuit of perfection in the thoughts of the idols, and as such, this is also portrayed in their music videos and what they do to the fans. And then the fans look up to these idols as, I want to be like that, I want to look like that, I want to have that confidence, when a lot of it is actually a lot of training that is put into it or a lot of pretending for the cameras. This is where I want to get into the personalities of the idols, which is another thing. Naturally, as humans, because we value solidarity and community is actually a thing, and we really can't do anything without each other. As much as the introverts and the antisocial people like to be like, I can just live my life being alone, you need people, we need people. Regrettably, it is how our ecosystem is designed that we need each other, right? And we need community, and we need to have a sense of belonging. We also have some moral codes and ethics that we try to follow to be able to get along with each other and have some kind of order, because if that wasn't the case, we would probably all be killing each other. We want to be able to grow with that community. But then there's also this selfish side to humans where you want to express things that may not be in agreement with your community, but it is also a part of you. There's sides to your personalities that are not always good, and there's thoughts and things you may do that may be perceived as bad. But the thing is, almost every human being has multiple layers to them. Like, people aren't one track. There's so many different sides to your friend, your sister, your brother, and that's just a part of being human. And here's another thing that's human: your favorite K-pop idols. And as such, sometimes they get anxiety, sometimes they get tired, sometimes they get angry, sometimes they can be real. Actually, some of your idols that you may think are just the sweet, innocent Disney princess-like person could really be horrible people behind the scenes, and they just act for the camera. And at the same time, some could actually genuinely be nice, kind, loving, giving persons. I'm saying all of this to put into perspective that do not forget that celebrities and idols are still people, just like me and you. They're made up of flesh, blood runs through their vein, and just like everybody else, they also pass stool and they also pass pee to get to QuanI. Anyway, the point is, as fans, you tend to get caught up in this fantasy that you create in your head of what you think that idol is. Like, to you, that's the person you want to be, and that person has to be perfect. 'Cause as a fan, I can see how it's easy to get lost in the sauce, and you forget for a moment that these people aren't ethereal beings or god and goddesses. They're really just like you. They just had the drive and determination to reach their goal. So it's not like a spectacle. It's not really alien. They're really just people like you and myself, and as such, you should treat them with the same consideration as you would your friend at school, your friend at work, your coworker, your neighbor. Treat them in a way where you lower your expectation. That's pretty much it. Like, humans make so many mistakes, and we're not robots. So if you just have very high hopes that they're gonna always be one way, that's a very unhealthy way of thinking of people or idols. It's best that you have a dynamic view of your idols, that yes, it's a possibility that my idol can be like this, and it's a possibility that my idol can be like that, because the idols know how important their fans are. And I think in K-pop, the artists really heavily focus on their fans as being very important. I think the culture is very different compared to the West in terms of the fandom. Like, they really put a lot of effort into the fans, where they're even making a song dedicated to the fan. They do stuff, they go the extra mile, they show a lot of their selves behind the scenes for the fans. Like, it's a culture where they give so much to the fans, and that's why the fans think they have such power and control over what these idols do or say and act like. Like, they own these idols. Pretty much is the relationship that tends to happen when it gets to the extreme part, or the part where you call them fanatics. They're no longer fans now, they become fanatics. So I'm just here to serve as a reminder to the younger fans and to the older fans with younger mental maturity. Please cut your idols some slack, okay? This image where you don't want to see your idols walking around with a pimple on their face, or if your idol gains some weight in their belly or around their face, you're like, oh, you're so ugly, you pig, you're eating too much food. What the heck? A lot of these idols are even debuting at tender ages where they're going through puberty. So their bodies are shifting in front of your eyes, and you're either skinny shaming them or fat shaming them for just being a human being going through puberty or change in their body. And another thing is that some of these idols, because they're so young and impressionable, they get themselves in such toxic relationships with the fans. They try to be fan pleasers. So if the fans say, hey, I like when you do this, or like when you look like this, the idol starves themselves to try to make sure their face stays slim. Like every time I watch behind the scenes of idols or anything, they're always talking about, oh, I don't want to eat noodles, my face is gonna swell. Oh, are they patting their faces down to make their faces look slim because they want to fit the standard? This is so mentally exhausting for them. Like, truly, how do you feel when your favorite idol self-deletes because they cannot take the pressure? How do you feel when your idol cannot perform on stage because of massive anxiety and they get camera shy and all of that because all of the comments and the keyboard warriors and people who didn't have the guts, the courage to do what they're doing sit back and judge them on how to live their life? That thought is just crazy to me. Like, it's okay to be a fan, it's okay to want to look up to that idol, but do not forget that they're people just like you and me. That's really what I want you guys to take home from this commentary. So expecting idols to never get angry or tired or frustrated or get a pimple or get fat or lose weight or to always sound absolutely perfect and perform absolutely perfect all the time is so unrealistic. And now I understand why aespa has their alter egos being animated, because when they're tired, you guys can have those, because you don't want human beings to be your idols, you want AI. That has to be it. There's always this talk about Jenny this, Jenny that. I know there is this talk about Woon Young. Jeez, can you guys leave the people alone? A lot of these hateful comments are normally people that are just very insecure and do not love themselves. And I understand how it feels like to not feel like you're enough and to not love yourself, because I was in that spot and I'm slowly digging my way out. Like, I'm not completely out of it, but I am so much better. So all I can do now is pray for the younger ones that are fans of K-pop, that when they get older, they will mature up and get a little bit wiser and handle things a little better and expect a little less. If not, but then again, change is up to the person. You can bring the camel to the pond. Is that what they say? But you can't force him to drink the water. You get what I'm trying to say. If people don't want to change, they will not change. I know there's also a culture in Korea for people to be very hyper aware of how people perceive them in terms of how they act. So they pretty much act very reserved and innocent, like they are not aware of things that are happening around the world. And as much as you think the Western artists are just disgusting and always in this drama and this drama, that is more realistic than the idols being pristine and clean all the time, because it is so against human nature to be like that. When they're like that, a lot of times they're putting on a show, and some of them are even really miserable and feel so constricted. It's almost as if they're in a prison within themselves. Why do you think that when your idols go to the stage, they act a little bit different and they let loose a little? There's so much judgment that they undergo in their own society. I really do hope that it changes. And it's not to say that other cultures are not very judgmental too. Every culture has their flaws. To all the fans of K-pop, which I'm a fan too, all I'm saying to you guys is drop your expectations and remember your idols are human. So please, if you can be kind, be kind. Like, some people who have met me would say I'm annoying. Some people would say and some people would say I'm really mean. The truth is, I can be all of those things because I'm not just one thing. I am a dynamic person. To my core though, I am a good person at heart and I have a lot of love inside of me. But if you think that means you brought out the me. I'm not trying to evade accountability. I'm just saying I'm really a soft-hearted, kind person. So if I get to the point of being you had that coming. You asked for it. You must have asked for it. But anyway, I may have not covered everything I wanted to because I'm really just freestyling this. I just wanted to talk about this because it's been on my mind, and I heard that lovely song that Eugene did where she was saying, I'm not your doll, and I'm like, that is so true. Even (G)I-DLE Soyeon, when she writes her lyrics, I think she pokes at that a lot. I like the idols that are brave enough to speak out against these fans that are so unrealistic and obsessed excessive and these say-sangs and these netizens. Come on, guys. Hopefully this video reached someone and someone finally understands. If not, and there's some points you think I missed, just comment down below. Don't be shy. You can be open here. You can say anything you want. You can tell me if you love me or if you hate me. Just comment and tell me. Thank you again for watching another commentary video with me, and see you on the next one. It's your girl QuanI. Bye.
Please like and subscribe.